construction loan, let's say you have up to 800,000, but they will advance based on the phases that you're on.
So, what do you think about rebuilding a house?
A whole house, like from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? I don't know. I've done it, and actually, my first property was a new build from a builder. There's something nice about building your house, getting to choose all the upgrades, and ultimately moving into a brand new house and nobody's ever lived in. There's definitely something that is fun and nice about it. And if you do it in the right way, it can be lucrative as well. Like if you buy the land at a really good price, cost of building is the cost of building, whether you build in Halifax or you're building in New Brunswick or you build in Ottawa or Toronto. The cost is going to be around the same. Materials are the same. Cost of labor is around the same. But what's going to cost you is the land. So for whatever reason, if you can get the land for a really good price and you build on that land, or you can sever the lot and then put two properties on that lot, then it becomes really lucrative. For example, we were looking at buying this bungalow for $400,000, tearing the bungalow down, splitting the lot, and building two semi-detached properties in an area where those type of properties were going for $1 million. So let's say you buy the property you buy it for $400,000. Let's say it costs you, $600,000-$700,000 to build. Let's say even $800,000 to build. You bought it for $4. You're building this two semi-detached houses side by side for $800,000. Let's just say, give or take. You buy the price can vary depending on the finishings, but let's say $800,000. So you're into it for $1.2 million. Well, if you sell each side for $1 million, you've just made $800,000. So it really depends on the strategy that you're using, and what type of property you're going to build, and what is the price of the land, and what are the comparables in the area that could give you an indicator that once you've finished, you can actually make a profit. Because that's the only reason I would do brand new property, is to make a profit. Now, for me, I always love buying a piece of real estate with a lot of land that later on in the future I could sever the lot. I have a free piece of land. When I sever the lot, now I can now get all the permits required, everything that I need, and develop the other side of the lot, right? If it's a big enough lot. And so for me, that's always a bonus, right? Like if you just buy a property that's already giving you income, you don't have to sit on the land, you don't have to build on it right away. You just own the land, and then at some point in the future, you can redevelop that land, and now you can build a brand new structure. To me, that's sexy, right? It's like you're getting the land for free, basically, So I love that.
Where does that 800,000 come from?
Okay, so let's say you bought here's the thing about building, and that's a really good question. When you build, you're gonna get a construction loan. Now the construction loan is not gonna cover you for the land, so you'd have to figure out. You could probably do it with partners, how to buy the land and own it outright. Because the problem is, if you buy a house to tear down and you get financing, the lender's not going to allow you to tear down the asset that they're lending you money on. And so you got to figure out how to either do private lending, maybe get investors involved to have the land, have control of the land, and then you build on the land using a construction loan. So let's say it costs you $800,000, but by the time you're done, collateral will be the land, obviously. By the time you're done, it's going to be worth like $2 million. So you need $800,000. So let's say there's 4 phases. Phase number 1, you need $200,000. Phase number 2, you need $300,000. Phase number 3, and so on, right? So I'm just using that as an example. Like it could be 6 phases, 10 phases. But let's say in this case it was 10. It was 4 specific phases, and so the construction loan. Let's say you have up to $800,000, but they will advance based on the phases that you're on. You might need, depending on the lender, they might need an inspection each phase. So you did all the framing, okay, or the foundation, okay. They come, get it all inspected. It's good to go. Everything checks out. Boom. They give you the next money, and then now it's like all the framing and the plumbing and the electrical. Okay, get an inspection. Boom. It's good to go. Boom. Then you get your next phase of the money. And so that's kind of how construction works. Construction loans work. It's like as you go, as you have a budget of $800,000, but you're not going to borrow $800,000, and then it's like you're paying interest out of your pocket on those $800,000. And so by the time you're done, then you go back to a traditional lending institution. You refi the property, and either you refi or you sell the property outright, and then you pay out all your debt. But now you have $800,000 in your pocket.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's usually so the biggest hurdle is how to get the land. There's a deal that I'm doing right now. I'm getting access to the property, but I'm doing a vendor take back. So I'm only going to put a little bit into the property, get a vendor take back, do the work, and then go and refi the property or sell the property.
If I buy a farm with a bunch of land, am I allowed to build on that?
Yeah, you would have to get zoning. Yeah. So you can buy, like a farm. It's actually a big undertaking, right? So what you want to do is if you have a acreage, like many acres, you could create a subdivision, and then split into smaller lots, and then you develop land like that, right? But it's like also you need to be like working with the municipality or the town to make sure that you're not going to be spending all this money, and ultimately they're not going to allow you to build. So the best way to do it is to have control of the land. What does that mean? Well, you can do an agreement for sale, lease option, where you have control of the land, but you're in the background, you're doing all your due diligence, and you're getting all your permits and everything that you need in order to develop land or whatever. So you could actually have control of the land, do all your due diligence, get all your permits, get everything approved, and then once you're ready to go, then you buy the land.
Is it easy to get to change the zoning?
No. Like the zoning is there for a reason. And when the cities, towns, counties make their budgets, they actually count on the income revenue that they're going to receive from that land, you know. Also, you know, believe it or not everybody gets excited about development and new buildings, new houses, more people. People actually resist it, and so most applications have to go through an application process where people in the neighborhood, in that city, in that municipality, actually have the right to hear the application and actually disagree. And so if you're trying to change the zoning on whatever X street, from a single dwelling into a double or a triple, you put the application, everybody in the entire neighborhood gets notified, and now they have the right to contest it. And so if one little grandmother doesn't think the neighborhood should be full of triplexes and duplexes, because if they let you do it, they got to let buddy down the street do it, and the other guy down the other street. And so all of a sudden, this neighborhood becomes like a high density area, and what people are afraid of is either like there's going to be people, or it's going to bring crime or noise, or reduce their property values. So even though if it's beneficial to the area, people will always resist, and they have the right. And so you need to be prepared to argue your case, and also be prepared that it might not pass, right? Your application may not be approved.